Hi, this is John Kremer. For any of you who are live here, this is the beginning in 2 minutes for the book marketing Q&A with John Kremer. It's a free webinar, and I hope you can make it. Um, I'm tweeting it out now for the last chance, and now I'm going to put it on Facebook as well. Just to let people know it's going live. There we go. So, uh, three out of some people are here now. Cool. Um, I like that. So, uh, some people actually showed up. Cynthia, Lee, and Diane are the ones that I see here so far. And now Amber has joined. So now we have the four people that have registered have all showed up. Um, so how to do this? I'm testing out a new software for me anyhow. It's called Webinar Jam, and it looks like it's going to be a really neat webinar thing for me. And during the next week, it's like $300 for a year. Your grandfather claused in. It's going to be more after that. But I think it's going to be a neat thing, and it gives you unlimited attendees and unlimited webinars. So all for one basically low price, about $25 a month. So that's what you're seeing is the webinar jam program that I'm using. And let's see, I wanted to see here. No, I don't think I can do that. For some reason, it's not letting me put the question and answer up there. So we'll have to chat. Um, let's see if I can get this all in the right place now again. There we go. So if any of you want to join in and ask a question, you'll have to enter it into the chat, and then I will see it. Wow, now we got 6 people. Ash and Lee, I guess, are the 2 new ones that attended. They must have caught my recent thing to Facebook or Twitter. So I want to welcome you. I hope all of you can see the chat box so that you can see where you can enter something in. Um, and, we can take it from there. So one person dropped out, not sure why. So you write your message down here. And like that, there's a little message box down there and you can write it. What I'd like to do right now is to let you do it that way through questions in the chat box. What I wanted to share, this is totally a test for me. So this is a very raw test. This is the first time I've done a webinar using Webinar Jam. And so I'm still very much a newbie in it. And so I'm hoping that some of you will ask questions. And I presume most of you saw my book marketing tip of the week. I thought I might just go over that just to showcase one thing that I think that my friend Joel Comm did really nicely um, just a few days ago. Um, he sewed a T-shirt, and I talked about it. Hey, let's see if I can get this again. I lost it. There we go. The Do Good Stuff T-shirt. And the neat thing is that what he's doing is he's asking people that they when they get their T-shirt, and apparently 150 people have bought it so far, and is to take a photo of themselves wearing it and then tag Joel in the photo. And I think that that's a really cool way to do it. Because it basically, what he's doing is he's going to start a photo album on Facebook to share all those. And that means that the people that take the photo of themselves wearing it and then tag Joel in the picture, that means that they're going to get exposure to all of Joel's audience. And I think that that's a really neat thing. And then what I talked about in my newsletter is that I'm going to do the same thing with my book marketing, my 1001 ways to market your books. In this case, you don't have to wear, and this is something that any of you can do um, in uh, if you have a T-shirt. I mean, a book, is that you can have people take a photo of themselves holding your book and then share it and say, hey, here I am holding John Kremer's 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. And if you tag me in Facebook and I see it, then I will share it with all my followers. But the key to the success for all of you would be that when you post a photo of me, I mean, of my book with you holding it, you can also, one, you could be holding your book as well. That actually might be a good idea. Or simply say, somewhere in that same post, check out my book, give your book title and your name. And then when I share it, you'll get a promo to all my followers. I think it's a cool little extra bonus that anybody can do. And so I'm hoping that that will work. Now, I noticed that totally, 6 people have joined in and then some of them dropped out again. I don't know if that's a problem with Webinar Jam or if it's they just don't like the content I'm giving, right now. Now, so far, none of your attendees have written anything in the chat box. I think you can, gosh, can you see the chat box? And I don't know quite how to get feedback on that. So this is still something that I'm doing where I don't know for sure quite how to know whether or not you are benefiting from this webinar. Again, there's a chat box down here where you can write something. Please, please ask a question because this book marketing Q&A session only works if I've got questions that somebody has asked. Now, I'll give you an example of something that I get, a question I get at least once or twice. Okay, Amber can see the chat box, so that's good. So I'm gonna cover one question that I get a lot from people. At least once a week, somebody will come in and say, hey, if you promote my book for me, I'll give you a piece of the action, like 10% or 20%. And I'm going, yeah, that's not going to work because I can, the time that I spend promoting your book, I could be spending promoting my book where I get 100% of the piece of action. So it doesn't make sense when you ask anybody, hey, I will give you a piece of the action if you'll promote, publicize, whatever, my book. Now, it does work if you do the, if you have, what do you call it? You have JV partners where you give them the possibility of earning an income from your book, and it's automatic. There are a lot of people that would certainly promote your book. I did that for Joel Comm with his Twitter Power 3.0, his new book. He didn't even give me a piece of the action. I did it because Joel's a friend of mine. And so I was happy to tweet about it, and I actually made a fun video of it. So that was something that made it it was something I was happy to do for him. But for somebody to write me or any other person that's famous in any way, in marketing, publicity, and so on, and say, if you promote my book, I'll give you 10% of my profits. Well, that's just not worth it to almost any of us. Certainly not to spend a lot of time, especially when we could be promoting our own books for 100% of the piece of the action, or we could be promoting JV partners people that have given us a piece of their action that's generally speaking somewhere in the 30 to 50% with a good, not just a book link usually, but also, some sort of upsell to a webinar, membership site, something like that, so that you could actually make some money out of it. That's something that I think is important to people. But, to ask, and then another question that I get often is, you know, somebody will email me and they'll say, here's some information about my book, and how do I go about marketing it? And, it's a general question. I can't answer it in an email. The only way that I can answer it is very simple. Read 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books. And that's what I do, because to go any more in depth, I would need to have a specific question. When somebody emails me and they have a specific question, um, do you know of a good list for blah, blah, blah? I might be able to answer that because it's a specific question. Even then, it's still a fairly, it could involve a lot of time on my part. So what I tend to do in answering something like that is to send people to a list that I have of list brokers and list managers that would be happy to help somebody in marketing their book. So, that's another step there in terms of marketing that I think can be very valuable. Now, so far, nobody's asking any questions yet. And I've noticed that some people seem to be dropping in and out, so I don't know if there's a problem with Webinar Jam. Anybody that came back in after dropping out, was there a problem with the Webinar Jam that I need to know about? I would appreciate it. Again, you can write it down in that chat box down there where it says, write your message here. And then I can see it. Um, because I need to know. This is a test for me, in a sense. I want to share some good content, but at the same time, I need to know and get feedback from you on terms of, is this working for you? Is it, can you hear me okay? Is Webinar Jam working okay for you? Things like that, so that I know whether or not this is something that I can use in the future. If it is, then I plan to do a lot more of these Q&A sessions, and I'll be asking for questions ahead of time so that I have a program I can use, because obviously, a lot of you aren't typing in anything in that chat area. So, okay, so Amber tried to join from her mobile phone, but there was no sound. Huh. Um, they said it should be able to play on anything, but that's interesting. Okay, and Lisa is checking out Webinar Jam too. And then Diane said, I couldn't hear anything, but when I came back in, I could see the presentation and hear you. So I'm not sure why that is. It could be something in your setup with your computer, uh, or it could be something with Webinar Jam. I don't know. But that's good. I really appreciate that feedback from you guys. It helps me to think that maybe this is something I can use on a regular basis. What I'd like to do with Webinar Jam, and one of the things that people have told me over and over again, is that webinars work to sell books. Um, and that's one reason that I really want to be able to test this out, see if it works, so that I can recommend it to other book authors as a really good solution. Because you use GoToWebinar, and either you're very limited in how many people you can have on your webinar, or there can be problems. I've seen people do an entire GoToWebinar and then realize they hadn't recorded it, and these are automatically recorded. Webinar Jam uses Google Hangouts as its tool for doing the video and the video streaming, and also to record the video. So that's done automatically in the background. The thing that they've added to it is the whole Webinar Jam chat system, attendees, polls, pop-ins, automatic notification, and all that kind of stuff, which can be really I think, um, a really nice tool. And oh, good. Somehow Lisa got into the questions and answers. So I guess that's showing up somewhere for you guys. And Lisa, I am planning to do a new edition of 1001 Ways. The problem that I had with 1001 Ways is that I had it formatted in an old program that I can't use anymore because it's no longer supported. It was a program called Ventura Publisher. So I translated it to a PDF, but the PDF is also messy. Then I translated it to a Microsoft, and I actually uploaded it, the current edition, as a Kindle ebook on Amazon, but it's horribly formatted. So I'm probably going to have to delete that very soon because it's not good for my reputation to have a bad format. Um, the second thing there that happened is that so then I had to translate it into a Microsoft Word program by somebody, and they did a pretty good job, but there were still problems, and they entered in some new problems. So I'm talking to one other person who may be able to take what I have and reformat it, but what I'm planning to do, Lisa, with 1001 Ways is to start by releasing some shorter books, chapters basically of 1001 Ways as ebooks on their own. So it'll be 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, book publicity edition, internet marketing edition, perhaps a separate one for social media edition. I'm not sure yet on that. So that as I write the book, I'll write and update the chapters and make them good for today's world, and then release those books at probably $9.99 because they'll be somewhere in 100 to 200 pages, even those books. But ultimately, then I would release. After doing that, I would release the omnibus edition of 1001 Ways, which would be basically um, the entire book as a big book with all the content in it. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do all of that yet, but that's my plan. So the first step, of course, and the step that has kept me stuck for years right now, is that I didn't have a good format for it. So it's sort of like I was going to have to rewrite the entire book, and that wasn't going to work. I can use the Microsoft Word I have now, even though it's a little bit messy, but I can start with that. And what I've done, I promised my wife, because she really wants me to do a new edition, is that at least one day a week I'm going to devote only to writing 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. And that means that during that time, I will not be doing webinars. I won't be doing consulting sessions. I won't be answering my email, et cetera, et cetera. I probably won't even be on the social media networks, so that I can write the book. This is a challenge that a lot of you might have at some point is, you know, what do you do when you need a new edition? Now, that's one reason I wish I could write novels, because you don't, generally speaking, do new editions of novels. Though I do know some novelists that have rewritten their books, their novels, and brought out a new edition with extra material in it. But with nonfiction books, especially like 1001 Ways, you really do. I mean, it's a work. It's a 700-page book. I really envy the people that write 120-page books, and that's one reason I'm thinking of breaking down 1001 Ways into some mini books to start out with. Books that'll be somewhere between 120 and 200 pages long. Share them as ebooks and also probably print on demand, and then go from there to build it up, and do the omnibus edition again. But it is a challenge whenever you have a book like mine where it does have to be updated. Now, I have a friend, Greg Goldick, that wrote a book called 1001 Ways too, but it was 1001 Ways to Be a Romantic. And the reality is that for the most part, he doesn't have to update that book. Now, he wrote it before social networks were around, so I don't know if he's thought about it, but he could do a new book called 1001 Ways to Be Romantic via social media or something like that, and create a new book. I just don't know if he's going to do that. The neat thing is, well, here's another question that people have asked me, and so until you guys ask me some more questions, I will just bring up some questions that people have asked me. Another question that people have asked me in the past is, I've got a book, well, like Greg's "1,001 Ways to Be Romantic." Now, what do you do if you want to address different audiences? Let's say you wanted to do "1,001 Ways to Be Romantic" for teachers. Well, you can either write a whole new book, or you could create a program where you sell them "1,001 Ways to Be Romantic" along with, let's say, an audio where you talk about specific ways that teachers can be romantic or mothers can be romantic. Because, one of the things I've heard from married couples, and it certainly fits with me, is, where do we find the time to be romantic? So especially mothers, because when they have young kids, it's hard to fit in the romance. And so, if Greg did a specific book for that, he could do it. Now, you have two choices: you write a new book, or you could create a program where you sell them "1,001 Ways to Be Romantic" along with a audio tape or special report that tells them, okay, here's how you apply the principles in the book to your experience as a mother. And that means that you don't have to necessarily write an entire new book. What you can do is instead create an audio or write a new report. Personally, I would always create the audio because it's quick. I mean, you can sit down with somebody else that knows how to ask you good questions and knock out an audio that's worthwhile in an hour, whereas a report could take you days to write. And the audio, though, if you have like 5 or 10 questions that you're going to answer on how to bring romance into your life when you're a new mother, something like that, now you have a whole new audience. It's not just people that want to be romantic, but it's mothers. It's a very targeted audience, or it's teachers, or it's dads, or it's busy business people, something like that. So now, like if you have romance for busy business people, uh, okay. Anyhow, if you have you know, a book on romance for busy business people, now you can address the whole business audience, and that's really cool. Lisa, if you can't enter the question in the question and answers, enter it into the chat because the chat is working. I'm not sure why the question and answer isn't working, so that's something that I have to figure out to make sure that I get it working for the next time I do one of these. Um, so, and we have, a number of people here. It's kind of neat. More people are coming on as I'm talking. And again, there will be a replay, and I'll get that into you, and there'll be a replay link on my website and in my next newsletter, which I'll send out probably early the next morning. I will tell you how to access the replay if you want to listen in. Okay, so Diane has a question that she put into the chat area. How often would you recommend to try to sell your book via social media? And do you recommend using the many marketing people that bombard an author trying to sell their services? Okay, that's two questions. One, how often do I recommend you try to sell your book via social media? You should be selling your book no more than once a day. And only if you're also posting other content on your social media profile. If you're only posting, say, once a day, then once a week is what you should do with your book. If you've noticed, if you follow me at all on Facebook or Twitter, you don't see me talk about 1,001 ways to market your books very often. What I do is I write a blog post on my blog and I share that. And then, a lot of people come to my blog and then they can sign up for my newsletter. They can find out about the book. They can check out other content on the website, or they might buy, like with my book marketing website, the homepage right now, and I'm probably going to change it at some point. It's basically a little sales letter, some of the content and things that I do, like book cover critiques, book title critiques, an indie bookstore campaign, some things like that. Now, Diane, you were asking, the second question was, do you recommend using the many marketing people that bombard authors trying to sell their services? Um, I would test some out, see if there's things that, it sounds good, it sounds like a good marketing thing, whatever, and test it out. But generally speaking, you don't want to buy into an expensive program um, unless you have money to burn. But if there's something that you think, costs a little bit less, then it might be worthwhile trying. For example, with my indie bookstore campaign, what that is that I send out an email to over 600 top independent bookstores. But the most important part of that is it's a sales letter that I send, is that I write the sales letter for you. And then I also put it on my askthebooksellers.com website. And then I send it out to the email people and I share it on my social media. So you get lots of different exposure for your book. But to me, the key benefit there is not what I send out, it's what I write for you. uh, I take the raw content that you have, and I create a good sales letter for you that you could use. The content you know, I recommend you put it up on your website or on your blog, saying, "Look what John Kremer just wrote me," and people read it and they say, "Whoa, that sounds like a great book." Because when I write a sales letter, I really try to write something that will help you. And I'm forgetting. I think I charged $200 for that campaign. Um, yes, it's only $200, which is really, I got to raise that price. You better get in before I raise that price. At some point, I guess I will. Uh, but that's a really great deal when you're thinking that I write a sales letter for you, and I do all the social sharing and sending it out via email to to the bookstores, independent bookstores. So it's a good value. That's to me is a something that's worthwhile within the right price point. But if you got some, I also offer one program to people that's really expensive, or it could be expensive. I do their marketing for them online, online marketing only, but I charge $3,000 a month. What I do with that is that I make sure I optimize your website, which means that you've got to have a website that's a WordPress website. If you don't have a website, I create one for you. And what that and then I create the social media profiles for you. I create relationships with other websites for you and all that. It's a very expensive program, and right now I have one client that does it. I'll actually show you his website because you probably have seen me blogging about him. Successforyourchildren.com. And I do it for Bob Medley, because he's I think what it is, he's 79 years old. He doesn't use the internet, and so he needed help. So I've created different social media profiles for him. You can see that here with different profiles for him on Book Marketing Network, Facebook, Goodreads, Google Plus, huganauthor.com, Pinterest, StumbleUpon, and Twitter. I created all those profiles for him, and then I share content for him. I also do blogging for him, so I create blog content for him on a regular basis. Now, this is, again, though, it's an expensive thing, and I told him I can't guarantee that it's going to work for you. Uh, this is an experiment for me because this is my first client that I've done it for. Um, but it's something that it's a passion project for him. He doesn't have an upsell, and one of the key things when you're doing marketing is you have to have an upsell. it's hard to make money just selling one book. So if you don't have a series of books, or a book and a bunch of reports, or a book and a bunch of audios, or a book and a membership site, or a book and coaching practice, or something like that, it's very tough to make money selling one book. Unless you sell a lot of copies, then you might. But I was just reading about one guy that sold 10,000 copies of his book in the past year, and that was a nice track record. But that's not enough in many cases for somebody to live on, because you're sharing a piece of the action with your distributor, with Amazon, with whoever it is you're sharing content with, and that means it's tough to make a money just on a book by itself. So that's why you write more than one book, or better yet, you have something else to offer people at a higher price. So, for example, I wrote 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books. I do make money on it, but where I really make the money, you know, uh, is on the ancillary things where I sell other products and services and consulting at $600 an hour. Or in the case of what I'm doing for Bob Medley here with Success for Your Children, I'm charging him, an arm and a leg, basically. But I couldn't charge less, because it wouldn't be worth my time then to do it, because I'd make more money selling my own products and consulting services and things like that than I can possibly make spending the time I am spending with him on this right now. But it's a nice thing. I'm glad Bob's been very good. I've been able to build this website for him and create something that, build up his social media profiles. And my next step is to start to build out his presence on the web with another probably 100 Web 2.0 websites. And Web 2.0 means sites where, you can contribute content. But then ultimately, I want to create relationships with a ton of mommy bloggers for him, and a lot of other websites on parenting, success, and or even children. So I would be creating relationships. But at that point, I've got to convince him to do some interviews, live interviews with people. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get him to do that, but I'll work on something to get him to get that kind of relationship. What I mean by relationships with other websites is where you create some sort of content that they can showcase on their website with a link back to your website. Ideally, something where you can contribute content on an ongoing basis to their website, a website that's targeted to your audience. In his case, Bob's audience is young parents, people with kids anywhere from probably 4 years old until about 15 or 16. And, that's his audience. And so that's who I would be working with. So those are, some of the things that we can talk about, and so anyway, so Diane, again, social media, you need to do on a regular basis some sort of content. I try to do anywhere from 1 to 4 Facebook posts a day. I do 5 to 10 tweets. And the reason that tweets are easy to do is I automated some of them. In other words, I'm retweeting other people in an automated way. There's a number of different services that allow you to do that. So I retweet different people to give them that possibility of content. For example, I could go to Twitter right now. We'll just go to Twitter. Whoops, I thought I was here. And I just want to show you, we'll just look at my tweets. Come on now. Give me a chance to go here. Thank you. So you can see some of the tweets that I've done. Now this is pinned. One of the things that Twitter allows you to do is pin or attach one tweet to the top. And right now I'm promoting my appearance at Author U Extravaganza on May 9th. So I keep that up there at all times. But you can see here now, starting now, book marketing Q&A, promoting the webinar. I did it a number of times here today, but I also tweeted my blog posts, book marketing tips. I also share good stuff on Facebook, again, linking back to my blog post. Check out this new children's book. Again, that links back to my blog post, my book marketing tips. Another promotion for the book marketing Q&A here. Another promotion for Q&A. And then here you can see Jack White asked Coachella to put away phones. They didn't listen. This is from Mashable, and they're one of the people that I automatically retweet. I've set up when they do a blog post, it's posted to my timeline. This is another one where I just shared that on Twitter, I have a list that I've created of 987 independent bookstores that you can follow just simply by following that list. So you don't have to follow all 987 bookstores. You can just follow that list and you'll see them. So you can click through it anytime you want and go to that list and start following the feed of different booksellers. And here you can see some of the different booksellers and what they're tweeting. And I think that that's a useful thing for any book author because it helps you to understand what booksellers are interested in and what they care about. And I can tell you right now what they care about. They care about selling books. And so, you know, that's what they're looking at. And you can see that list. It's a nice list to follow, but it's one that you can just follow by following my list. And then you're automatically, you don't have to follow all of these or have all of these in your timeline. You can just come anytime you want and look at my list. Here it is, you know, twitter.com/John Kremer list/bookstores. And you can see all the tweets that they're doing in the last few minutes, including 4 minutes. This one came in 9 hours. That's interesting. Oh, because it's a retweet. 10 minutes ago, 34 minutes ago. It's amazing how many of the bookstores don't tweet very often. And I think that in general, with Twitter, you should tweet about 5 to 10 times a day. Now, you can automate that in different ways. And here's another one, how to add a Pinterest button to your iOS sharing options. And that's a Mashable blog post as well. So you can see how the kinds of things that I tweet. But you know, the only thing that I'm really selling there was this webinar, but it's a free webinar, so I'm not selling anything. If I'm selling anything, it's the Author U Extravaganza because that does cost to go to it. That's in Denver again in May 8th, 9th, and May 8th and 9th, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. So anyway, that's something you could go to. You can find out more by, you know, clicking there. So those are some of the things that you can do again with social networks. Again, and what I'm going to be talking about at Author U is something that I've talked about before, and I'm going to share it again soon, is what I'm doing on Pinterest and how successful I've been on Pinterest. Because on Pinterest, I've had over 4 million repins. And I teach a course on how to, you know, benefit from Pinterest and how to do Pinterest in the right way. But I've, you know, I have right now 21,000 followers on Pinterest. Um, and but the neat thing is that it doesn't matter how many followers you have because all it takes is one of your followers or somebody else to discover your pin on Pinterest, and boom, it can take off. I did one pin that got over 1,000 repins in like a day, simply because somebody with a lot of followers repinned it. And they could have discovered it through following me. They could have discovered it in the by a search or something like that. They may have been looking for something, but you know, over 1,000 people repinned that in one day. And the minute anybody repins what you're doing, all their followers see it. And in my experience, somewhere between 1 and 10% of the people that follow somebody and see a pin of theirs will repin it. In general, I find it's probably somewhere in the range of 1 to 2%. Um, but sometimes it can be much bigger than that if it has a lot of impact on them. So, it's a neat tool. And what I do in Real Fast Pinterest that we've done, um, I do in the Real Fast Pinterest is we teach you how to use Pinterest in an effective way, what kind of things to pin and so on. So it's a really good course, but we also have a free webinar where we teach you a lot of stuff, and I'll have a live version of that coming up in a week or two. I'll have to talk to my partner Daniel Hall. Um, Lisa asked, do you use the analytics on Pinterest? I do. And again, they send it to me on a regular basis, but I think you can also, and let's see, where do you access it? I'm forgetting now. Analytics. And analytics will tell you a lot of the things, what people are sharing. Like here you can see this is for the activity from my bookmarketingbestsellers.com website, which isn't my most active website on Pinterest. But you can see the average daily impressions is 28,000 people, with 21,000 of them actually looking at my Pinterest profile, I guess, in some way. I don't really understand this, and I haven't studied it completely. The average number of viewers is 748,000. But what it does then, the activity of people clicking through to my bookmarketingbestsellers.com website, 12,840 people impressions, 8,849 people actually see it. And then you can see here are some of the top pins for for that website, and it tells you how many impressions, how many repins you got, how many clicks. That means that they actually clicked through to a website, and then how many likes. And these are some of the different kinds of interactions that people can have on Pinterest. I find it useful. What I really liked was the old information that Pinterest used to be able to teach us. And unfortunately, they dropped that content because that's the only way that I could really find out how many people repinned what I've done. For example, one of my most popular uh, infographicsday.com, that's one of my websites. Uh-oh, I did it wrong. What did I do? Infographic a day. It must be infographic a day. I don't even know my own websites. Uh, this is one of my websites, and there's let's see, and I wanted to show you one of my most popular pins is one I did on fitness, and it's one of the reasons that a lot of people have followed me. And the neat thing is with WordPress statistics, well, actually with the statistics from this particular WordPress plugin, I can find out that 712,000 people repinned this particular graphic. But that doesn't tell you everything because Pinterest told me 8 months ago that I actually had 1.4 million repins from this of this pin. This one. This one has driven over 135,000 people to this website, and still drives anywhere from 50 to 100 people to my website every day. Just this one graphic, and I have multiple graphics like this that have been repinned, actively repinned, anywhere from 100,000 to 1.4 million times. So my guess is that there's about 4 million total repins, but unfortunately Pinterest no longer shares that information like they used to, and I miss that. And so somewhere coming up, Diane, I will do I will show you again the Pinterest webinar. It's a sales webinar. I mean, we give you a lot of good content on how to use it, really good content actually. So even if you don't buy our program, you're going to learn a lot in the webinar. But we also have a sales message at the end where we're trying to sell you on buying real fast webinar. But you can see the statistics here tell you something. 712,000 people have repinned it. That's really neat. But Pinterest, 8 months, I think it was about 8 months ago, maybe 9, told me that I had 1.4 million repins, but that information they no longer share with us, which is really frustrating because it was such great. They would tell you how many total repins you had of any pin you had on Pinterest, and now they don't do that. Uh, so that's frustrating for me, and I guess I should talk to them about reestablishing that because it was such valuable information to have, because then you knew what was really working. But Pinterest still does tell you some information. For example, here they're gonna show you that I have 10 repins of this one, 3 repins here, 8 repins here. 2 people loved it. Um, but that doesn't tell you the total repins. That only tells you the repins that came directly from your pin. You can see I did the skinny rolls again just recently and got another 66 people to repin it. But again, it doesn't tell you the repins of the repins. And that's the content that they used to tell us. And that was so incredibly valuable. Now they don't share it with us anymore. And I'm not sure why that they did that, except that maybe it took up too much computer processing time. Shar has a question. Ideas for using longer content. I've been writing a newsletter for a long time. How do we use that content? Well, you can see what I did today with my, whoops, let's see. I actually posted it to my website. Um, so that's one way that you can use your content. I actually reposted the entire newsletter on my website. Now, I could easily have done it as 4 separate posts because I posted, well, 3 separate posts because I posted about 3 different things. Um, on the website, I added a graphic, which was kind of a nice thing to add. Plus, I added this click to tweet. Click to tweet is a really neat. If you have a WordPress blog, get this click to tweet. It's a free plugin, and what it does is it allows you to encourage people to tweet because I create this very simple. It takes like 2 seconds to create, and then it allows people to click to tweet while they're reading, and you'll be surprised how many people will tweet something if they read about it and you make it easy for them to do it. And so I give them, in this case, I have 4 suggested tweets within one blog post. And when the click to tweet, when somebody clicks on that click to tweet, um, let's see, here's one that, let's see, did I use that one? Oh, well, even if I did, I'll use it again. You can see it actually includes the link to that blog post, and then you can tweet it. And anybody can. Plus, it gives automatically via @John Kremer, so that if somebody likes the content that somebody else retweets or tweets, that means that I'll get more followers on Twitter. I'm not going to tweet that because I think I tweeted it already today. But that's something that you can do. Another thing that you can do, again with the newsletter, would be to do a little webinar based on it. And if you get Webinar Jam, it looks like it's going to be a fairly easy program to use. So again, it's something that you could do very easily, to share some content. Now, part of what I'm going to do to use Webinar Jam is to create mini very short videos, like 5 or 10 minutes, where I answer somebody's question that somebody emailed me. And instead of answering it by email, I will answer it by creating a quick video like here. And then it's automatically shared on YouTube. And it'll be like a 3 to 5 minute video, so which is about the right size of content that you want if you're going to really have content shared on YouTube in a big way. So anyway, that's one other thing that you can do. create graphics that you can share. You know that some of these graphics ones that I created as part of my blog post. So sometimes, a lot of my blog posts are fairly simple. They're not complicated. I figured I shared this one on another website I have. It's sort of my hobby website, and hopefully it's going to come up. Um, it's myincrediblewebsite.com. And what I do here, it's a headline, a graphic, and a little quote, and a click to tweet, a couple click to tweets. Actually, 3 of them, 4 of them. Wow, I did a lot that time. But it's simple. Look how quickly that could be to make. And you could do something like this very simply with, if you're sharing a newsletter like, I did today, I could have made it into 4 different posts, each with its own little graphic, a short quote, or excerpt of the content from the newsletter, some click to tweets, and bang, you got a new blog post. And then you can share it on Facebook, tweet about it, etc., etc. Because again, I have social sharing buttons here along the side. That's one plugin. I also have them at the bottom, and that's another plugin. But I want to encourage people to share it, so I try to include more than one way to share it. So, that's something that you can do. Now, Wendy has asked me, do you use Tweepy and do you find it effective? Actually, I don't know. I know I've heard of it. I presume it's at tweepy.com. Manage Twitter, follow tweets, and you can pay for it, but apparently you can do a freebie. I do use something that cleans up my when somebody unfollows me on Twitter, I quickly unfollow them. This looks like it could be useful. It would be interesting. I'll have to look into that. It looks like it's a good one, and I presume it looks like it's free along with the premium. You can pay more, or maybe you can't. Maybe you have to pay for it altogether. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. But if it's something that you can do real easily, then I would certainly recommend you do it. I use one. It used to be called justunfollow.com. And I use that. Now it's got a new name called crowdfireapp.com. And you sign in with Twitter or Instagram. It allows you to manage Twitter and Instagram followers. And what it does is it actually lets you look at who's follows new people that follow you, and then you can follow them if you want, or you can do that. I'm going to go to my johnkremer.com. One of the things that I do, it's my practice on Twitter. If somebody unfollows me on Twitter, I unfollow them. So goodbye, Jan Porter blog. And now I no longer follow her, because I think of Twitter as a relationship building. And that means that if I follow you, you should follow me. Or if you follow me, I will follow you. If I choose not to follow you, it's because you're a spam account or you're totally unrelated to something I want to follow. So, if you actually look at what I've done, I follow 4,000 less people than follow me. Because they're not writers or something like that. They're not people I really want a relationship with. And I'm certainly happy if they follow me, but I'm not going to follow them back. But I will always on Twitter follow back the people that follow me. So you can see, you can find out who's unfollowed you, and then you can look and see who's here that you haven't followed yet, and you can follow them. So you can see that here are some people that allows me, so I'll follow them. And some of them I'm not sure about. I'll have to look at them, if I decide to. But she's a model and a singer-songwriter, so I'm not sure if that's somebody that I want to follow. So it's something I'll still have to think about. But I'm definitely not going to follow Moat Pat, because Pat Moat, I guess, is his name or her name, because they don't say anything about who they are and they don't have a photo. I think it's a mistake on any social media that you start following people before you've completed your profile. I see this on other profiles, like on LinkedIn, where they don't have a photo. And I'm going, well, that's the first thing you should do when you join a social network is get your photo up there. And if they don't, then why should I follow them? So I tend not to follow people that haven't established themselves yet, like Pat Moat here. No content, nothing about who they are. If Pat is a writer, I would have followed them, but this is going to disappear down. I'm not going to see Pat after a while, and I'm not going to follow them. So they're going to lose out on me following them simply because. Now, this Crowdfire app, what I'm using here right now, is free. I haven't paid for anything. I can pay to get upgrades, but I haven't. So I like using them to check because I don't want to follow people who don't follow me. So that's just for me, that's something that's important. Wendy also asked, how do you grow Instagram followers? And is there a tool you prefer, such as Hootsuite, for multiple platforms? Hootsuite is a nice one. There's also another one called Social Oomph. Social Oomph has a free part of it and then a paid part. And I think Hootsuite's the same way. I don't use them right now. The thing is that I haven't joined Instagram yet because the only way you can join is to have a smartphone, and right now I don't have a smartphone. Um, uh, Partially because I don't use mobile phones that often, and so right now I'm just thinking, do I want to get one? Do I not want to get one? So I can't join Instagram, or I would because it's a popular platform. But I'm having such success with Pinterest that right now I don't care. But at some point I will. And then, how to grow Instagram, uh, I don't know, but I'm sure there's a tool, like the Crowdfire app that does allow you to, upgrade your Instagram and Twitter followers and unfollowers and things like that. To me, the way you build followers in any social media is by sharing good content. That means you're not always selling. What you're doing is sharing good content or fun content or things like that. Like I saved here. This is something that I thought was funny. I saw it in somebody else's timeline on um, Facebook. How Hawaiians stand in line. What they do is they put their foot in their place, and they let the shoes or sandals in the place where they are, and they let the shoes stand in for them. I think it's so clever, a way to stand in line instead of having to stand the whole time, which I find really irritating. I keep telling my local post office they need to have a bench we can sit on because the lines are often too long if you hit at the wrong time of the day. But I thought this is really neat. And as you can see, almost 300 people have liked it. People that follow me or people that follow someone that follows me. And I'm sure that KCCN FM 100, who shared it first of all, probably has gotten an incredible amount of likes from it. Um, it's a fun thing to share, and I shared it. Um, what I do with most of my social networks is I do use them for business. I do have Facebook pages, but I have a lot more followers on my personal timeline. So I actually share business things on my personal timeline. Um, but I also share fun things and interesting things like this. So it's a way to interact with people. I like to have my social, even like on Pinterest, I have what's now called a business account, but what I share is a lot of different things. I share whatever I'm interested in and passionate about. And you can see I'm interested and passionate about a lot of things like, sunsets and sunrises, optical illusions, beautiful paintings, dance. I love dancing. I think dance movement is so beautiful. Beautiful and interesting women, homes I'd love to live in, holidays and events, food, commentary, etc., etc. I have about 40 boards that I share. And to me, it's a fun thing to do, but it represents all of me. In other words, I share a lot of the different things I'm interested in and passionate about. You can on Pinterest have two accounts. You could have one that's just a personal account where you share sunsets and things like that. I like having only one account because it's less work. I come here and I see everything. I can find out who's interacting with what I have, and so on and so forth. So I much prefer that. Um, but so I like to share the whole of me. I do the same on Twitter. I do the same thing on Facebook. Literally, I do the same thing even on LinkedIn, because I want to share who I am and not just sell, sell, sell. But I do sell, and I do link to blog posts, which are often informational blog posts, but also give people the opportunity to sign up for my newsletter or things like that. Um, One of the things Wendy says is someone explained to me that you could find similar people to attract their followers, perhaps, such as another similar author, I suppose. And that is something that you could do. And I actually just bought a piece of software recently um, that automates some of that. It's called Twitter Envy. Um, and I just tried it out with one of my Twitter profiles. That's one on Celebrate Fitness. And what it allows you to do is automatically follow up to 100 people a day. And then if they don't follow you within like a week, you unfollow them. Um, so that's and what you do to follow the people. What they do is you pick somebody that on Twitter who's attracting the same audience you want to attract, and you follow the people that are following them. And Twitter Envy does that automatically. And so that's an interesting thing, and I'm just testing it out now. I just bought it a couple days ago, and I forget what it is, but if you Google it, you might find it. I think it cost me maybe $20, maybe $30. But it's worth testing, because if I find something like that works and works well, then what I do is I share that with you guys. Just like, I'm sharing and letting you guys know about Webinar Jam, um, which is a tool I'm using right now to present this webinar. And have the questions and answers. I can also do polls if I want to. I can share some other things with you, but right now that's yeah, anyway, that's something that I will be sharing with everybody more in terms of how Webinar Jam works for what I wanted to use it for. One of the ways I want to use it is the way I am right now, which is a free Q&A sessions with people on book marketing. And what I will do probably in the future, I know I've ran almost an hour this time, is I'll probably limit the session to 20 or 30 minutes, and then do more of them a week, um, and base it on questions that people send in ahead of time. Because not enough of you are asking questions. Well, you started to ask questions finally. Um, so right now I'm not worried about growing my Twitter audience that much for my own account, but I thought I'd experiment with it because, you know, back in the day when I first started with Twitter, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, it was I was getting like 1,000 new followers a week in some weeks, certainly 400 or 500 new followers. Nowadays on Twitter, I'm getting maybe 30 or 40 new followers a week. It's a lot less. So if you're new to Twitter, if you're a new author or you just wanting to start with Twitter, you do have to think about, how am I going to find more followers? Um, and one of the ways to do it, of course, is to follow people that follow uh, your competitors. So you can go to Twitter and look at the people that are following. We can just actually go there, and I'll you know so here's my my Twitters, and let's say Deb Scott is somebody I want. So I could go in here, and she's got 42,000 followers. Um, what you want to do is you don't. I would much prefer following the people that she follows rather than the people that are following her, because a lot of the people that are following her could be spammers. But if she's choosing to follow them, and you can look and see who's following them, I mean, who she's chosen to follow, you may find people that you want to follow. Here's a features editor. Maybe I'd want to follow them. Again, if I went to one of the accounts of somebody who's a book marketer, and I started to follow the people that they follow, that might be a really neat thing. Um, so here, maybe I'll follow Kim Harmon. So I'm going to follow her, but I'll unfollow her if she doesn't follow me in the next week. Because she's not building the relationship. Now, it looks like Deb Scott is Catholic, or has a lot of Catholic followers, or she's following a lot of Catholics. Um, so maybe she promotes something. Uh, the sky is green, the grass is blue. Motivation, self-help, transformation. She doesn't say she's Catholic, but apparently she's somehow ended up with a lot of Catholic followers that she in turn followed back. But that's one thing you could do, is follow somebody, that you think would be, compatible with what you're doing. And again, you can just look in your own timeline and look to see if there's somebody uh, that you would want to follow their followers, and then start to build up. But then your choice becomes, do you if you follow them, do you uh, do you unfollow them if they don't follow you? And if you have that, like that program that I talked about, the Twitter Envy, that might be a way to do it where you automatically unfollow. And I get a lot of people that follow me, and then 3 or 4 days later, I don't see them anymore following me. So I presume, since I didn't follow them, um, they don't follow me back. And I have seen people follow me and I follow them, and then they unfollow me right away. And I guarantee you, if they do that, I'm going to catch it and I'm going to unfollow them. Because to me, Twitter is all about relationships. Now, here's somebody, Jill Lublin. She's a top speaker, and she wrote co-author of Guerrilla Publicity. So she might be somebody that I would want to see who she's following, and then follow some of them. And again, you can go through, you can only follow so many people. I think Twitter has a limit, and I think you can follow or unfollow like 100 people a day, and then Twitter says you look like a spammer, and uh, goodbye. Or they don't say goodbye. They just don't let you follow more people. I think it's 100 a day or 50 a day, something like that. Now you can see the problem that Jill has right here, and she must not use Twitter that often, is she doesn't have an image up here. Like if you go and look at my profile, you'll see there's an image, and that image tells people something about who I am. And it's got people browsing in a bookstore, and it's got the headline, book marketing tips. That's something you got to be able to tell people, and that's a problem that she doesn't have that on hers, and I don't know why she doesn't. Maybe she's in the process of switching it or something. But it's a mistake. You can see here that she followed somebody, so she must be automatically following people that follow her. Um, but here's this guy. He doesn't have a picture. He doesn't have a background image. I would never follow him. And again, he doesn't have anything that says who he is and what he's about. Again, no reason to follow him. But you can see that she follows a lot of different people, and again, I'm not sure I'd want to follow everybody that she follows. It's interesting that some of the people she follows I've already followed, so that's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's a tool that you can use. So getting PR from national media is still challenging after all these years. Any helpful tips? Reaching through Twitter. There was a time when Twitter was really effective at connecting with media people because they actually read their direct messages, or when somebody would @ tweet them. Um, and some national media still do that, but not all of them. So I don't know quite what you would do in a case like that. Um, I think Twitter can still be effective, but the neat way, if you really want to connect with media people, look at their media website and see if they have their actual email address. And there's, one of the neat things is, one of the webs, magazines, Forbes, actually requires that their editors read any comments that are on it. So if somebody, if you look at what's the newest tax fraud that, and you look at that, and then you decide to comment on it, Robert Wood is required to look at anything that people have commented and rate it. Um, well, it doesn't look like he has any comments yet. But I found that very effective because when I was commenting on some of the people that I follow on Forbes, they would, what they do is they plus it or minus it. In other words, they give it a leg up or a leg down on whether or not the comment is a good comment. And I think that's an interesting strategy for Forbes, but it's a way then to connect with people. So you can check out whether or not they have an email, but like here, Robert Wood, and I don't know if he's an editor there or just a contributor, but if he's an editor, um, comment on his article, and then that might give you an opening to create an interaction with him. But in many cases, a lot of media website include the email address of their contributors, their reporters, and so on, so that you can directly link with them and pitch a story. So, that's some of the, I think the media sites themselves are more effective to reach out to than through Twitter or Facebook or any of the other social media. But you saw in my newsletter today, I went and checked out this new bookstore, children's bookstore, Island Tales Bookshop, and there was an interesting thing there. When I checked their Twitter account, they only had 3 followers, and this was last night, and now they have 5. Um, but this might be the perfect time if you want to create relationship. Let's say you have a children's book, to follow them, because chances are they're paying attention to all their new followers, and because they're new to Twitter. It's a new bookstore, it's a new Twitter account, so they're probably going to be aware of anybody that follows them, and that begins. I'm not sure who has followed them. It'd be interesting to see. Story Monsters. So that's something. But it gives you a chance right away. Some of these things are really weird. I mean, this is firearms, armory racks, uh, organic airbrush training. I don't know why they're following, so these are spamming followers. Marcielle, she's a reader and writer, so she probably is following because she's interested. Story Monsters is definitely interested. Ginger Morgan, again, blank profile. Who is she? But if you were a book author and you followed her, followed them, that would be show up right away, and they might pay attention to you, and they might follow you back. So you build up your followership, but you also, with a new account like that, creating a relationship when they're really paying attention to who's following them could be very effective. And that's why in my tip, I said, follow that bookstore if you're a children's book author. Um, I can see there's a typo here. I'll have to fix that. So that's part of how you can reach out to people. Same could be if somebody creates a new Facebook page, you could follow that page and maybe start to create a interaction with them. So Wendy asked another question. Do you buy ads on Facebook? I have bought a few ads, but I haven't bought a lot. Um, I haven't found them to be that useful. And they're getting kind of, they're getting more expensive because of the competition. And so if I were really actively wanting to build a followership to a page on Facebook, I'd probably buy ads. But again, I'd want to be careful how I did it and limit how much I was going to spend. I think it can be effective, just like I think Google Ads can still be effective. Um, and you can see, for example, here on Facebook, uh, here are a couple Facebook ads, addressed to me. And actually, in the last day or so, I've actually clicked on a couple of these ads. So ads do work if they're targeted to the right person and what they're interested in. Um, so it can be effective. And so anyway, it can be something that could be very useful. But I'm not sure, you know, Uh, I don't spend a lot of money on ads of any kind. I much prefer building up my email newsletter um, by encouraging people to come to my website, and then if when they come here, they can sign up right away for my newsletter and get a free report on how to market on Facebook for book authors. That report right now is dated, so I should probably offer something new. But because Facebook obviously has changed a lot in the last, um, I think I wrote that about 2 or 3 years ago. The timelines have changed. Facebook ads are different than they were then, et cetera, et cetera. So at some point, I would need to change that. But in the meantime, I think Facebook ads can be effective if you got to have a good reason though. And I wouldn't do it to boost any particular post. I would do it for one of two reasons: to attract people to a fan page, or better yet, attract people to a page where they can sign up for your newsletter. And there are a lot of tools out there now that allow you to create, your a fan page tab. Um, let's see. We'll just pick out. This is my one of my pages on Facebook. This is what I would consider my professional page. And I haven't really promoted it. You can see I have 634 likes, which isn't bad, really, considering I haven't done anything to promote it. And I haven't posted to it since February 21st. So, it's not something I promote to in a long way. But you can see here these different tabs. You can actually have a tab that encourages people to sign up for a newsletter or something like that. And I don't know if this is one of those tabs or not. At one point I had some, oh, it's a broken one. I'll have to take that off. Um, some of these will get broken because the thing is no longer supported or something like that. Um, this is one that allows you to add videos to Facebook. But anyway, so those are just some of the things that you can look at. But I would only do it for one or two reasons: to get people to sign up for my newsletter, or to sign up for one of my pages, to like one of my pages. Wendy has a rule of thumb. There is a rule of thumb. Is there a rule of thumb with follow-up calls to national media, like Ellen? I heard one tip was sending them videos via Twitter, messaging, etc. The the rule that I follow is: how timely is the content that you're pitching to them, and how important is it to you? If it's timely and important, I might connect with that media person multiple times, certainly within a week, and possibly multiple times within a day, if it's really timely. If it's important, I would be connecting with them at least once a week, either by email, comment on their website, um, at signing them via Twitter or something like that, messaging them. I would find different ways to do it. Um, because you do them a disservice if you don't follow through, if you don't make them, in a sense, pay attention to you. So, and to some extent, you have to be aggressive, and probably more aggressive than most authors want to be. Most authors are probably like me. I like sitting in my office and writing. Um, the passion of having to go through, and bang on people's heads to pay attention. I don't really like doing that, but I understand that sometimes you have to, if it's important, because what you have, the content you have to offer to their audience, in the case of national media, is important enough that they shouldn't ignore it. But again, that means that you really have to have an understanding of the content that they want. The mistake that so many authors make is they really don't understand the media that they're approaching. They've never watched Ellen on TV. They've never read Vogue magazine or something like that. You know, to me, when you're promoting a book, you should target 20 to 40 media and really get to know them. That means read the magazine, watch the TV show, and again, you can record it so you can, speed watch it. Um, if it's a radio show, listen to it. If it's a syndicated column, read some of their columns. If it's a newspaper, read the newspaper. And not just online. I mean, read the physical magazine, read the physical newspaper. You can also read online. You can see what extra content they have online. Um, I know a good number of authors that were first invited to blog on a magazine website, and ultimately gained enough trust and had good content that they were invited to write for that magazine. And that's can be really valuable for you. I mean, that's like a gold mine if a magazine invites you to write for them. But understand the media. That's why I limit it, 20 to 40 top media, the ones that could really make a difference. You could also include, some extra newsletters or online media, online blog talk radio shows or things like that. But the thing is that you really want to connect with the media that could make a difference for you. And right now, to me, the key media that can make a difference for a book author are magazines and TV shows. Radio shows, one or two that are really targeted might make a difference. Newspapers, very, very competitive to get in and hardly worth it anymore, except for USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and possibly the New York Times. Um, but you really have to look at who they are. You have to read the magazines, watch the TV, and really pitch it. Look at the kind of content they use and then pitch it. Like watch Ellen on TV and then decide if Ellen DeGeneres uses the kind of content, can you picture your book in the context of the content that she uses? I mean, it's absolutely stupid to promote a book to a TV show. What you promote is a show. You promote you as an author, an interesting, very interesting guest. You do not promote the book. The book gives you credibility as a guest and author, but you don't send them a book and hope they invite you. You don't send them a news release about the book and hope that they get it and say, "Oh wow, this would be a great guest on the show." You send them an email, you send them a letter saying, "Here's why I'd be a great guest. Here's what I can bring to your show. I noticed yesterday that you did a segment on such and such. Have I got a great follow-up to that?" Something like that. Now you're actually meeting their needs. That's why, most authors are promoting the book, and it's not the book that matters. It's what do you have to offer as an author if you're on TV or in a magazine? It's the content that you might have to offer. They're not interested in books per se. They're interested in something that will help their readers, their viewers, their listeners. And that's what you've got to pitch. And if I were going to follow up with any media, I do not follow up by, did you get my message? Or when are you going to respond? Or something like that. What I give them is very simple. I give them, here's another reason you might want to have me on. Um, I know you might have read my last one, and I hope that you're thinking about it. But here's another reason. And Wendy just said, at least constant contact can indicate if they're opening your email. And that's a nice thing. But, the second part of that is is Ellen opening the email, or is an assistant who's really busy and has a headache opening the email? And that's one reason that you really have to contact people more than once, because one, people could be sick that day. They could, they may have been inundated that day and they were just deleting everything. You don't know if they've actually received your letter, your phone call, your whatever. They may have deleted it right away. Like, one of the big mistakes that I find when people call me is they don't do the magic uh, 9 words or 10 words that they need to say at the beginning of their phone message. And those 9 words are 575-751-3398. Hey, this is John Kremer, blah, blah, blah. Because I find that there's so many people that leave me a 5-minute message and then they leave the phone number. And maybe, my phone will tell me what their number is, but it's possible it won't because they privatized it or something like that, or, any number of reasons. I might have erased it or who knows. But I am not ever going to listen to a 5-minute message again to get the phone number. I'm just not going to do it. Um, I'm too old for that, I guess you could say. I'm 66, so I feel like I can do whatever I want now, and I can just say, "Well, I'm a cranky old man." It doesn't matter. But so if you're going to leave phone messages, start with the phone number, or at least get it within the first 20 seconds, because those of us who are busy are not going to wait. Even if we listen to your whole 5-minute message to begin with, we're not going to listen to it a second time to figure out how to call to you or respond to you. I have people that 5-minute message and then they leave me an email. Do you know how hard it is to remember an email address when you don't know how to spell their name? Um, so when leaving messages with media, your message should not be longer than 30 seconds to a minute at most. That means you've got a pitch that's, 2 to 3 sentences long with your name and phone number included. You do anything longer than that, and a lot of people are just going to delete because you don't know how to pitch them on phone. You don't know how to talk on a phone. That means, of course, that you have to have your script ready to go so that when you're calling somebody, you know exactly what you want to say. No ums, no ahs, simply, hi, John Kremer, 575-751-3398. Have I got a story for you? Or have I got an incredible add-on to the show you had on Tuesday? Um, or follow-up or something like that. And then you could give them a 2-sentence pitch and hang up. You don't even have to say, call me if you want to know more, because they already know that. You don't have to tell them something that they know. What they want is simply, you get in and get out. So what I'm going to do, I think we've gone on long enough. This is an hour and a half, it's longer than I thought. I will have another one of these Q&A sessions. You're welcome to email me at John Kremer at bookmarket.com with questions. And the next session I do, which will be later this week, and I will again email you hopefully more than 2 hours ahead of time to let you know that I'm doing this. There will be a replay link so that you will be able to be involved with that. And now I just gotta, oh, I know how to end this. I just hit the stop broadcast button there. But anyway, thank you for coming. And those of you who came live, again, next time, if you want to send me some questions that you would like to have answered ahead of time, I will do those. The next session will be shorter. I'm going to try to keep it, again, to 20 to 30 minutes max. And that means I may have to do more than one session every week. But I want to do them at different times, different days, so that people that want to come live and ask me a question by writing it in the question box or the chat box, that is what I'll do. But I want to share with you. I want to answer your questions. And so far, it looks like Webinar Jam is working well. We'll see once the replay link comes. So thanks for those of you who have attended live. I've had as many as 11 live, 29 people registered, which is incredible considering the short notice. And Wendy asked that question for next time. So thank you all and good night.